welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Where Is. If you are new to this channel or have never seen a Where Is a series that I have here on YouTube where I talk about missing persons cases, try to spread awareness about the cases and the people and the families, as well as raise money for an organization that I'm really passionate about called Thorn. Thorn is Digital Defenders of Children. They fight against child sex trafficking via new and innovative tools and technology to combat the world of human trafficking.
The more we get partners with this, the more that we share, the more that it's unified, the greater opportunity we have. In this country, it is somewhat of an invisible issue, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and that doesn't mean it isn't someone's daughter, it isn't someone's sister.
All you want to do is give them a hug and make them feel like it's okay. And you feel like you can't even give them a hug because that's the exact thing that stole a piece of their innocence away.
The name Thorn itself has a beautiful connotation. Thorns protect the rose. And the rose here are our children and their futures.
I just wanted to let you guys know that with this series so far, we have raised a total of $9,454.50. I am thrilled, you guys. I just cannot believe how many of you have been moved by these videos and want to help, and I'm so thankful. Thorn is so thankful, and we are going to continue to support Thorn here on my channel with another t-shirt design. This was designed by a subscriber named Jade. She's awesome. She has a really cute Instagram and Etsy shop that you guys should check out, and this one's so cute. I buy all of them myself, so I cannot wait to have this one. Just such a cute quote, definitely upbeat, and maybe not as weird for some of you guys. I know some of you are like, I'm into aliens, I'm into conspiracies. Don't know if I necessarily want to announce it to the world by putting it on my shirt. Maybe if you haven't wanted to buy previous designs, this might be a good design for you. It comes in different colors and styles and sweatshirts and stuff like that, so it's really, really awesome. The quality of all the Represent stuff is great, and not only do you get a really cute item, 100% of the profit is donated directly to Thorn. So I don't take a single cent of it, so it's awesome. It's a great way to give back. So yes, anyway, with that, we're going to get into our story for today. Now, today we are talking about a very interesting case. This is a case I was first alerted about in May when I was in Australia. It might have been actually early June, but I was in Australia. I went to Sydney, Melbourne, and Cairns, and when I was in Melbourne, I met a subscriber at a casino actually. Hey girl, you know who you are. And she told me about this case of a boy named William Tyrell. And it looks like Tyrell is actually Tyrell. I'd heard the name before, but when she asked me to and I got to meet her, like, I definitely wanted to do it because, you know, it's a subscriber right in front of me requesting it from Australia. And this is an Australian case. I don't think many Americans know about it, and I haven't seen many videos done on it, so I think it's really important that we talk about it today. Now, before I get into it, I do want to remind you guys to share as much information about this case as you can. Awareness is so important. It does so much more than you guys even know. So whether you share this video or write your own thing, like your own post, or share a picture or something, definitely share this on your social media. Is the easiest way to give back and to help possibly find a child. And unfortunately, our case today is a child, William Tyrell. This takes place in a town called Kendall, actually. There's a lot of towns and cities named Kendall, surprisingly. I've come across quite a few. It was just a very open area, an open neighborhood with like large backyards and backs right up to the woods, and, you know, really embedded in wildlife. I think at the time of William's disappearance, there was like 1,000 people living there, so it's a very small community, very safe community. So September 11th, 2014, William's parents took him and his little sister, whose name I don't think has been revealed. And that's the really interesting thing about this case. The parents were completely hidden from the media. They get their faces blurred. They do not announce their name or anything like that. I'll explain why in a little bit. His parents have basically wanted to protect their privacy and didn't want the little sister's information to get out there. They didn't want their kids to be known as like the sibling of the kid who went missing, so they've kept everything pretty secret. So the family actually lived in Sydney, Australia, and they decided to last minute take their kids on September 11th to grandma's house, which was in Kendall, Australia. So they randomly picked them up from daycare. It was a surprise. The kids were all excited that day to get picked up early to make the 4-hour trip to their grandma's house. And visiting their grandma was really cool because it's this like beautiful house, beautiful lot, surrounded by trees, just completely lush. total separation between the houses. And the grandma, she actually lived at like in a cul-de-sac, so it was a pretty safe situation because no one would be coming down it unless they were going to one of the houses or, you know, lived there. So it's not a street that people are just driving by all the time. It was actually a really safe, great place for them to bring their kids. So September 12th, the next day after they'd already spent the night at grandma's, William's mom was playing with the two of them. William was wearing a Spider-Man suit. In fact, she took this picture of him just minutes before he vanished.
And that photo I took was, he was actually looking up at me, and I sort of crouched down in a really weird position and taken the photo.
Super cute kid, like unbelievably cute, honestly. He was 3 years old.
Go, William.
His businessman father briefly leaves the house to get better mobile phone reception and run a few jobs in town.
And they were playing in the backyard, and they were playing this roar game that his mom said that she would always do with him, that he loved to chase each other and go roar, and you know most little boys like that kind of stuff.
We were playing, and I was playing Mummy Monsters, and so he's chasing me, and I'm doing the whole rah thing, and you know I'm chasing him, and he's giggling his head off.
Like chasing each other around in the backyard, and they were having a bunch of fun. And then she told him, I'm gonna go inside and make tea real fast. She could literally still hear him. That's how, you know, safe she thought it was. She could still hear him from in the house roaring outside, and at least that's what she says. But then as she was making her tea, she realized she hadn't heard him for a couple minutes. So she went outside and couldn't find him anywhere.
I couldn't see him. I couldn't hear him. It was the world, you know, it's like the world just came to a screaming halt. There was no wind, there were no birds, there was no movement, there was nothing.
It's super, super strange. No one knows what happened. It's almost like he just vanished. And like I said, this street is literally a dead end. So it's not like tons of people are driving by that could just take him unless they were there specifically to do so. His mom started to absolutely panic. She called their 911, I think it's 000, and reported him right away.
Yeah, hi, my son is missing. He's 3.5, sorry.
Your address?
48 Centeroon Drive, Kendall.
Like, how long has he been missing?
I think we've been looking for him now for about 15 or 20 minutes, but
Okay.
I thought it could be 5, it could be longer, because he was just playing around here. We heard him, and then we heard nothing.
And the parents did everything that they were supposed to do, absolutely. They called, like, I think within 20, 25 minutes of when he first went missing. The police were there within an hour. And then they had like 200 people search the entire area because it was very close to the Kendall State Forest. They wanted to rule out the possibility that maybe he just walked away. Now, the dad during this time, the dad had run out for an errand but was going to be coming back soon, and William knew that the dad would be coming back soon. That's what a lot of people think may have happened. William used to do this thing where he would like run out to his driveway and wait for his dad. His mom would like alert him like he's coming home soon, and he would go and like wait by the door.
I always run to the gate normally at home and looking out for me and my car.
And I remember saying, can you see Daddy's car? And there was no answer. There was no answer.
I used to do that all the time as a kid. And sometimes he would go outside and wait at the end of the driveway. Now, these are big houses, a big lot. And is it possible that William wanted to see his dad and walked to the end of the driveway, or saw another car, thought it was his dad, and walked right to it? Because they had like 200 people searching the entire area to make sure that he didn't just walk away and get lost, or you know, something like that. And I guess there is a possibility that an animal could have been involved, but I don't know, man, that's sketch too. Nothing has ever been found. There's no trace of evidence. When the police came to the house, the parents were an absolute wreck. His dad obviously came back after a little while, searched with everybody, is like miserable. And I think this is a good lesson actually. For so long, there was this big cloud of suspicion around his parents. Because they weren't releasing their identity, because they weren't saying their names, they were automatically being looked at as sketchballs. And especially from people online, people who think that they're detectives, which, I mean, I think it's great to like look into things, but when you start accusing people of doing things without any proof, that's where I have a real problem. And a lot of people for years accused this family of doing something wrong, of there's being some type of sketchness. And I get it, because it is weird. And they would always give the excuse of legal reasons. They can't be named because of legal reasons. And journalists would say that they knew why and couldn't tell for legal reasons. And there was just all this suspicion and doubt, and people were really frustrated. Now, recently, August 2017, so like 2 months ago, a judge ruled that the information can finally be given out. And that information is that William Tyrell was a foster child.
We can now tell you for the first time a key piece of this complex puzzle that you haven't heard before.
A current affair can reveal William was a foster child in the care of the New South Wales Minister for Family and Community Services at the time he vanished without a trace.
His biological mother has finally got to come forward and talk about it, and we found out that he was put into foster care around 8 months old, and the family got him, I think, around 9 months, and they have had him and plan to have him permanently. He was really like their child. Even his biological mother said yes, that was the plan. They were going to keep him permanently. I know that there was possibly some domestic violence situations going on with the mother and some drinking drug problems going on with the father, so he just wasn't in a good situation. He was removed. Now after that, anyone who wanted to come out with information came out, and the family all along had wanted to say who they were, and they know that it looked sketchy on their part. And it's a huge problem when you think about the fact that many of these cases get more attention or more like sympathy and like concern when parents can be shown, like when people can see the grief of the parents. People's minds are automatically going to, like, if you're their parent, then where are you? Like, why aren't you saying who you are? It's weird. And it wasn't their fault that that had to be like that. So I think that's very unfortunate. And when it really comes down to it, it doesn't really matter that he was a foster child. He was their child and he got abducted. It has nothing to do, his abduction has nothing to do with the fact that he was a foster child. But what it does say is that the foster care system in Australia, were they trying to cover up something or hide something, or were they just, I guess, trying to cover their own ass because it was a foster child that this happened to? I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if they really have to keep this stuff secret, but the family, I guess, was very angry for a long time that they couldn't say who they were, and I don't blame them. So people searched for like 2 weeks straight for William. There was a giant search party. People were very upset. The community of Kendall was very upset. And I don't really know like what the family was doing, because the family just wasn't reported on, like, for most of it, because it wasn't until about a month ago or 2 months ago that they were able to say who they were or anything about themselves or about his biological family. But literally hundreds of people, hundreds of police have searched for him. There was also a sex crime squad set up from the strike force, which was a task force specifically to deal with this. And they literally made a task force called Strike Force Roxanne. That would be just for finding William. And when, you know, scent dogs were sent into the yard, they could only track his scent in the yard, not anywhere past it. So the mom actually had spotted 2 vehicles in the neighborhood that day. Now this is weird because they were just left unattended. They weren't like in front of any specific house, and they had their driver's side windows down.
William's mother also saw 2 cars earlier that morning, parked strangely with the driver windows down. The specific makes and models of the cars are not known.
Oh, we've got the general description of the vehicles. One's a white station wagon, another is a older style greyish coloured sedan.
There was also reports that around 9 a.m. a grey or green sedan drove by their house while they were riding bikes in the driveway, the 2 kids. Now, the police knew all of this information and actually did not tell anyone about the cars as part of their strategy. They decided to not tell anybody about these car sightings or have anyone look for them for 12 months. So anyone who had that car, if they actually were involved, definitely got rid of it by now. So the police have cleared his family of doing any wrongdoing. I personally don't think, I mean, I've seen clips of them where they definitely seem like grieving parents, and this was a while after he went missing, and they're still this upset. Here, check out this clip, it's pretty upsetting.
and I walked past his room. I had no legs, I just collapsed. We had to go back to our house without him. It was heart-wrenching when I'd go into his room and I'd say goodnight to him, and I'd lie in his bed and I'd cut a little Tara and I would just pray that he wasn't scared.
I don't. Well, I apologise.
Sorry.
No, you don't say sorry. I don't know how you're doing it, quite frankly.
You have to. There's no other option.
You are so strong, though.
There's no other option. Life doesn't stop. It keeps going.
But like, those are people that you know, like, truly love their son. They look so sad, and I can completely understand why. So the parents have been completely cleared. So, you know, a little while after investigating it, the police came forward saying that they think that this could have been a stranger, just like a random person that has a connection to a pedophile ring. Now, I've talked a lot about sex trafficking on this channel. It's something that I think needs serious attention in this world. People have no idea how common it is and where it's going on, and I mean, it's right here in America, everywhere around us. It's truly mind-blowing when you actually look into it. There are pedophile rings. Like, people don't want to admit that there's this kind of evil in the world, but there is. Now, it also came out that there were 20 sex offenders in the area, which was another thing that really freaked people out, because apparently people didn't know that before this. Now, I really think it's important not to spread misinformation or speculate too much, and I really don't want to spread any false rumors or blame someone who's not actually completely at fault, who's not actually involved. The police have literally announced 700 persons of interest. They've interviewed tons and tons of people.
How many people have been interviewed so far?
Oh, in excess of 1,000.
Is there a single person of interest?
There's not one single person of interest. There's a number of persons of interest.
They said several of them are still considered to be main suspects. Tons of information hasn't been released, so we don't know a lot. But one in particular that I really want to talk about is Bill Spedding. He has kind of a sketchy past. He was charged for sexual assault of 2 little girls. In fact, he'd been actually charged for multiple child sex offenses. Bill Spedding actually was a washing machine repairman, like a mechanic, and he also owned a pawn shop in the area. And he had been to the grandmother's house 4 days before William was disappeared, and he had been working on the washing machine. He had not been able to fix it, so they hadn't been able to use their washing machine. It had been 4 days since he had last been there.
He was repairing Mum's washing machine. When we arrived on the Thursday night, and Mum already had washing piling up, so I thought I would phone in the morning and just find out when that part had arrived and when he was coming back to install the part. So I called and left a message.
And he claims that he didn't go back to the house until like a week later. But because of his previous history, people have a real problem with him, and he has definitely been named a suspect, especially if he possibly knew that William would be there on that day. If maybe he was coming up to repair the washing machine and William happened to be like perfect opportunity, you know, down by the road, maybe he would have just snatched him. So, I mean, I don't want to say anything. I don't know if it was Bill Spedding. I don't think it's fair at all to say that it is, but I think that the police have more information than we even know, and they'll probably come out with more and more. But Bill wanted to clear his own name. Here's a video of him talking about it.
Hello, I'm Bill Spedding. My wife Margaret and I offer the Tyrell family our sincere commiserations in the tragic event of William's disappearance. I wish to state that I have had no involvement whatsoever in the disappearance of William Tyrell. I have noted in the media that some events have been reported inaccurately. I wish to clarify those details. I first attended the Tyrell house on Tuesday the 9th September 2014 to repair a washing machine. I returned to complete the repair of the washing machine on Thursday the 18th September 2014. I have not been in the Tyrell house or to the Tyrell house or to the street before, between or after these dates. I appeal to anyone who may have any further information to urge them to contact Crime Stoppers on 1300 333 000. Thank you very much.
So I definitely don't want to speculate too much, but it's a really crazy case because William could still be alive if he's in any type of pedophilia ring or in human trafficking. And so it's really important that people still spread awareness about the case and that his family can possibly just get some justice. Is it possible that William's being held somewhere, even if it's not like a sex ring? There are strange cases of people being abducted and held for years just because the person's like completely out of their mind. Like, I can't have my own kid, so I'm gonna just take someone else's kid. And it's possible that that's what happened with William. So could he still be living somewhere in someone's basement? He was so young when he was taken though, and I truly can't imagine how scary it must have been for him. Such an innocent kid, you know, has already been through enough foster care and everything, and then this happens and it's just such a mess. In tons of reports, people have come forward saying, I found a Spider-Man suit. There's been literally tons and tons of reports like that. They're investigating them, so it's important to note that the Spider-Man suit that he had was 2 pieces. So it wasn't like a jumpsuit, because that's ruled out a lot of the findings, I guess. It's been crazy because so many people have thought that they have seen William. There have literally been over 1,000 sightings of him over the years, like people thinking they saw him, and most of them have been debunked. A while back, there was a picture taken of a young boy with a man in Queensland. They reported he looked very, very similar to William, but it turned out not to be him, and they confirmed that within 24 hours. In 2015, there was a New Zealand-bound flight crew, and they thought that they had William on their plane. They were pretty convinced. They said it looked exactly like him, but as soon as they, reported it and landed and everything, they determined it was not him. There was another photo sent in when a woman was seen with a little boy in a McDonald's in Queensland, and then people thought it looked like William, but it was not him. This case has led to literally a record number of reports and call-ins on Crime Stoppers and stuff like that. There's been so much public interest in this because people just want to know, how did this kid just vanish? There's so much possibility and so much for the police to go through. They've literally produced over 11,000 documents about this case. So it makes me think that maybe they do have something. The police have said now they don't know if it was any type of pedophile ring. They actually are leaning more just towards a creepy stranger that just came upon him. They said they haven't ruled out that it's a pedophile. They don't think it's as connected to a larger thing as they thought. But the police said that they are still hopeful. They are actually thinking that he could possibly still be alive, so they're really wanting to keep the awareness alive and keep the search going. There are people that are working on this all the time. The task force is still in place, and there has been a record $1 million reward put out for finding and the safe return of William Tyrell, and that has never been done before. So I don't really know. I don't know if this case has a chance of getting solved. I don't know if William has a chance of coming home, but I think it's important to keep the hope alive. Like, if anything, keep positive thoughts about him in your mind. I just feel so badly for the parents, especially with the whole mess of the foster care issue and not being able to release tons of information, the police withholding so much for so long. If you have any information that could help in the William Tyrell case, I will leave information to get that to the right people below. But it has been an amazing community support. In fact, they have run like walks and stuff for William, dressing up in Spider-Man costumes to try to encourage people to continue to keep the hope alive. God is